Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria and this is the final episode of the Mid Year Freakout Tag. I am filming on the 4th of July, so happy 4th if you're in the United States and you're celebrating today. Cheers. So, this is the last episode, and the last two prompts on the tag are the most beautiful book you purchased this year or you acquired this year, and what you want to read ASAP. So I'm kind of paraphrasing that one because I think there's a should or must, but I'm just turning it into a choice. What are the books that I cannot wait to read, that I really am excited to read? And for that question, I'm going to be talking more about reading projects and maybe some ideas for what I might be reading through the rest of the summer. I'm not really thinking too far ahead. I will think about the fall and the winter a little later in the year, but for now, I'm just thinking about summer. So let's get started with the books. I know it says one, but I couldn't pick just one. So I picked the books that I acquired this year off my shelves, and some of the ones that I just loved so much. And I loved the cover, or I liked just the packaging of the book, and so I was really excited to have them on my shelves, and I just cannot wait to share them with you. So the first one is this one, Marigold Mind Laundry by Jungeun. The soul-stirring Korean bestseller. This is a book that we just talked about at my In Real Life book club. So my local indie has a book club, and this was a selection, the most recent selection that we just read, and it's actually a new subgenre that I never read from. It's called healing fiction. Have you heard of healing fiction? Have you read anything that is within that subgenre of healing fiction? If you've read any good healing fiction, let me know. This kind of fiction is meant to be like a salve or a balm for the soul. It feels very much like Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's in the vein of if you're Spanish speaking and Hispanic like me, then you might be think of La Rosa de Guadalupe or Como dice el dicho, where there's a moral to the story or some sort of resolution that is life inspiring. And if you of the generation, of my generation, you're a millennial or older, think of Touched by an Angel, where there's this miracle that happens, or there's this healing that happens, and it feels very spiritual. So this is magical realism. So there's a magic that heals the soul. And it's not realistic fiction. So you really have to have an open mind and be okay with magical realism. And I really did enjoy it. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was really, really good. I really like this hardcover, this thing they call it a naked hardcover. There's no jacket to it. It's just really sturdy and colorful and really fun to just hold. I tend to like paperbacks. I don't like hardcovers because of the dust jackets. I don't want to rip them or anything like that. But this kind of book is just really user-friendly and really beautiful to just look at. So yeah, I really like this one, and I'm glad I get to have it on my shelves with this color palette. It's just pretty stunning. Then I have My Life is an Ice Cream Sandwich by Zoboi. I love Zoboi. I think that Zoboi is probably one of my favorite YA authors. This is middle grade. And I'll read the back. Summer 1984. Ebony Grace flies from Alabama to Harlem, where she'll stay with her father while her mother cares for her grandfather. Science fiction obsessed Ebony Grace doesn't have many friends in Huntsville, but she had her comic books and her granddaddy's VCR, his collection of Star Wars and Star Trek videotapes, and his air conditioner. She doesn't have any of those in Harlem. Open fire hydrants are the best AC, and the wild graffiti, rap, and breakdancing seem light years away from her beloved Starship Enterprise. But this big city has a few surprises and fun in store for Ebony Grace, and by summer's end, she discovers that Harlem has a place for a girl whose eyes are always on the stars. I just love this color palette on this cover. This is a paperback, and I love a good paperback. I have not read this yet. I purchased this thinking that I was going to read it for middle grade March, and the month of March was not what I had hoped, so I didn't get to participate in middle grade March. But it's on my shelves. I love looking at it. Love the colors. I love just Zoboi's main character here, Ebony Grace, staring out into the sky. The Star Wars, the way that the title is like Star Wars, like when the text flies upward. I like that. And you see that inside of inside there's like comics. She loves comics. Ebony Grace loves comics. So there's some like comics pages or graphic novel kind of pages. And where's the text? Some parts of it have that Star Wars text. Oh, here we go. Some pages are like Star Warsy. So I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek, and I love a really good middle grade and such a sweet girl to root for. So I'm looking forward to reading this. And meanwhile, I'm just enjoying the look of it on my shelves. Next, I purchased this earlier this year. We have a new bookstore in town that I went to go visit for the first time, I think in the month of February. That's when they opened, and it's such a cool little bookstore. It's like a flower shop and a bookstore and a deli, and like not a deli, but like a cafe all in one. And they have a nice curated selection of books, and beautiful plants and some really great merch. So they had this one, and at the time I was looking for a YA myth retelling, and I saw it and I thought I really want to have this one on my shelves, and it's really beautiful. So it's I, Medusa, a novel by Ayana Gray, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's like sparkles, like gold flecks of sparkle on the cover, and the text is metallic gold, and so the same metal like confetti is on the cover. It's got sprayed edges in black and gold, and so it looks really, really cool, especially if I display it like this with the pages out. It looks really cool. So yeah, this is a really nice hardcover, and I'm really happy that I have this on my shelves, and this might be a contender for August. I meant to read it earlier this year because I was wanting to do some, like, I was in the mood for mythological retellings. I didn't get to it, but I'm glad that I have it as a possibility for my August TBR. And speaking of August, I am working on the announcement video, so you'll get to hear more about what I might be reading or what I might recommend for August soon. And I'll probably share like more of a TBR once I have it all figured out for myself. Next on like the most beautiful books I purchased. I think I purchased this one at my local indie, and I thought it was such a treasure to find. And this is The Lion and the Bird. I believe that I purchased this late January, early February, I was looking for books for my nephews, and I got this one. One of my nephews, the older one, came by and we got to read it together maybe a couple of months ago, and that was really fun. But this is really sweet. Like if you just look at it, the color tones are just very warm, and the inside, the illustrations are so cute. They feel really comforting. The color schemes feel really comforting, and sweet. It really is like, look at that, almost snowed in. It's a really sweet book about a lion and a bird who meet one fall afternoon while lion is breaking up leaves and harvesting apples, and a bird is injured and falls to the ground, and lion rescues the bird, the lion and bird there, and takes bird home and helps bird heal. And it's just a beautiful story of unlikely friendships and found family. Last but certainly not least, okay, one of my favorite musicals and one of my favorite childhood memories, and just an icon really of childhood, is of course the great Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers. Found this edition of Mary Poppins at that new bookstore in town, and I just really love this. The inside, it's a hardcover with a dust jacket, which I don't really love a dust jacket, but this jacket is really, really pretty. And then this is what the cover looks like. It's that carousel ride that goes into supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And then the inside is in this really fun print. Looks like a really retro wallpaper. And then the illustrations are gorgeous. It's Jane and Michael and Mary Poppins in the park. It's the back, and then the back also has the other horse. One, this one. And they're like a carousel. It's really, really cool. I love this. So I am a child at heart, and this is something that makes me really happy, is to have some of my childhood favorites on my shelf, so that when my nieces, nephews, friends come visit, I have stories to share with them. This dust jacket is also really pretty. There's like metallic foil in the leaves that are falling. And the inside, that retro wallpaper I said, that inside matches Mary Poppins' dress. So it's actually like Mary Poppins' dress. I just love her so much. This is such a gem for me. Okay, so those are the most beautiful books that I've added to my shelves in 2026 so far. Now, let's talk about reading projects. I have joined Pagebound this year, and Pagebound is a new app. I think I posted about it in my community tab a few months ago when I was first discovering Pagebound. So I created a Pagebound account. I'm no longer using Goodreads. Really, I haven't used Goodreads since I started with Pagebound. I'm not adding any more books to my Goodreads shelf. No, I don't have the app anymore, because when my phone died, I lost all my apps, and I haven't added it to my new phone. So I haven't used Goodreads. I am using Pagebound. I don't think I've added Storygraph to my phone either. I know a lot of my friends here on BookTube use Storygraph, and I did mean to join some groups in Storygraph, but I just decided to kind of stick with one, and I'm sticking with Pagebound because Pagebound is committed to not using AI, and that's really, really important to me. So because I am so interested in supporting creators in tech that do not use AI, I feel like Pagebound is my community for now in terms of curating lists and writing reviews and things like that. So that's where I'm at. And what I love about Pagebound, I've had some time to play. Like Storygraph, it lets you put your shelf. So you put like maybe whatever, however many books, whether it be one or I think up to 5 books on your shelf. And so when people find you, they can see your shelf, and then they can see if you have common interest in reading, then you can you might want to be friends with them because you have some interest, you have some shared interests and some shared faves. So I like that. That reminds me of Storygraph. Goodreads has those groups, and I know Storygraph does too. But I didn't find that the groups, the reading challenges on Goodreads were very user-friendly. And maybe I just didn't give Storygraph enough of a chance. But I wasn't as like into it on Storygraph either. But Pagebound they don't call it challenges, they call them quests. And they have these quests that you can join. And they're basically like book lists and reading projects. So I've already joined a few, but I'm going to talk about 2 that are really like the ones that I'm kind of focusing on for summer. So the first one is one that I'm going to be taking to BookTube. There's a quest to read Christmas romance novels. I think it may be what I'm understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, but what I'm understanding was that this quest was created around Christmas time. I just joined this year, and I saw that somebody had also joined and said that they were going to do Christmas in July. So that was exactly what I was thinking I wanted to do, was Christmas in July. So I'm joining people on Pagebound and doing Christmas in July, and I'm going to bring that to BookTube. I'm going to put up a post announcing that soon. And on July 24th and 25th, I am going to probably do reading sprints or a vlog. But I'm probably going to do one or the other. Or maybe both. I don't know. But I'm going to track my reading for 24 hours. I'm going to try to do like a 24-hour reading sprint where for 24 hours I'm going to read holiday romance novels. And the group read on Pagebound that we're doing is Venice Actually. So my intention is to watch Love Actually. I love, 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 love Actually. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. So I'm going to probably watch that weekend of the 24th and the 25th of July. And I'm just looking forward to just bringing some of the Christmas magic into my home for 2 days in July. And so I'm going to read Venice Actually. There are a few other books that I'm thinking I might do, like try a chapter, maybe to share with you, give you some inspiration for some taste of some books on this quest. Maybe you're interested in joining the quest, or maybe you're just interested in adding them to your TBR. I think that librarians are a big part of developing these quests, and I can tell because of how curated these lists are, and they're usually very diverse. And this holiday romance one, you have a good, like, diverse list of books. You have queer representation, and you have diversity in the picks, and it just seems like a good list. So, and they're all books that I think are kind of under the radar, at least for me. And granted, I'm not the biggest romance reader, but I'm really interested. Also, one of the reasons why I decided to join this quest is because I always tell myself, I pull out my stack of Christmas romances that I have, romance books that I have, and I always say, like, oh, I'm going to read this. And then the holiday season, the December season just flies by. I get really, really into Guadalupe Reinas, and I prioritize reading for the Guadalupe Reinas event that I don't ever get to my Christmas romances. So I figured maybe this is a good way to start early and prioritize some of that reading now in the summer, and then maybe just continue, like, sprinkle it through until Christmas. And maybe then I won't feel so pressured to, in the span of 3 weeks, read for Guadalupe Reinas and read my Christmas romance books that I'm really interested in reading. And then all the other fun stuff that happens, book clubs and buddy reads and fun things that I love to join. So yeah, that's my plan. So if you're interested, just stay tuned. I'm gonna probably post about my Christmas in July, and if you're interested, join me, and maybe we can do sprints together or something like that. We'll see. If you have any ideas for what kind of content you would like to see from me for Christmas in July, do let me know. And I'm open to ideas and suggestions. I'm trying to have a good plan for it. So I'm really excited about it. The other quest that I want to talk about, I have several quests going, but the cool thing about Patreon is that I feel like no pressure. I'm going to fulfill those quests when I get to it. So I'm just going to take it slow, read one at a time, and not stress at all about it. So the other quest that I'm really excited about is to read Japanese crime fiction. And there's a whole list of books that are Japanese crime fiction. Some of them were already on my TBR, and I needed an excuse, like needed motivation to check them off my to be read list. So here are 2 that are on this list that I was already really interested in reading, and this is the perfect way to get me to read. And it is Confessions by, I think it's Kanae Minato. I'll read the back, although I'm kind of, with Japanese crime fiction, I'm almost scared to read the back, but I'll try and see. So the back blurb says, the riveting international sensation that inspired the Oscar shortlisted foreign film. I didn't know that this was a film. Some of the blurbs here say, Lord of the Flies for the modern world. Confessions is some uncanny kind of tour de force, and everyone should read it. Emily St. John Mandel blurbed it as superb and haunting, a novel I'll think about for a very long time, and I love Emily St. John Mandel. And then Simon Lelik says, I defy any fans of smart, unconventional crime writing to set this novel aside once they've started it. Kanae Minato is a former home economics teacher and a housewife who wrote Confessions, her first novel. So this is her debut. How exciting. The book has sold more than 3 million copies in Japan, where it won several literary awards, including the Radio Drama Award, the Detective Novel Prize for New Writers, and the National Booksellers Award, and was adapted into an Oscar shortlisted film directed by Tetsuya Nakashima. Minato lives in Japan. And this is what the summary says. After calling off her engagement in the wake of a tragic revelation, Yuko Moriguchi had nothing to live 4 except her only child, 4-year-old Manami. Now following an accident on the grounds of the middle school where she teaches, Yuko has given up and tendered her resignation. But first, she has one last lecture to deliver. She tells a story that upends everything her students ever thought they knew about 2 of their peers and sets in motion a maniacal plot for revenge. Narrated in alternating voices with twists you'll never see coming, Confessions explores the limits of punishment, despair, and tragic love, culminating in a harrowing confrontation between teacher and student that will place the occupants of an entire school in danger. You'll never look at a classroom the same way again. And by that, I'm thinking it's giving me the vibe of Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. And I love, like, this feels like very dark academia, and I'm totally here for it. So have you read this? If you have, let me know what you thought. Without any spoilers, please. And I'm just so excited to read it. So this is up next for that quest on Pagebound. And then the other one that I have, I'm really excited to get to. Now I'm thinking about translation. If this is translated by a woman, then I might be okay. Well, this is a female author, so I'm wondering if this would count for. No, this is translated by Stephen Snyder. Women in translation. Does it have to be a female translator? The author is a female, but the translator is male. So this might maybe count for women in translation. I'm going to say it counts because it's a female author, even though the translator is not female. I think it counts. And so this is Strange Pictures by Uketsu, translated by Jim Ryan. The Japanese mystery horror sensation. Have you read this one? This is all over. Like, I see it everywhere. And I know it's a series, so this is book 1. Janice Hallett, the author of The Appeal, blurbed it as, "This refreshingly original, eerie treat of a puzzle invites readers to immerse themselves in the darkest of mysteries. So captivating, I read it in a day. So disturbing, I thought about it all night. Uketsu is a disruptor, the master of quiet horror." I love quiet horror. So I feel like this is going to be a great one for me. Publishers Weekly calls it an intricate puzzle box that's a must for horror fans. A puzzle box. I could see, like, it seems like it's very different. There's diagrams and like illustrations in here. Yeah, like flowcharts, all sorts of interesting addendums to the text. The inside flap has French flap. So the inside flap says, "The spine-tingling bestseller that has taken Japan by storm, an eerie, fresh take on mystery horror in which a series of seemingly innocent pictures draws you into a disturbing web of unsolved mysteries and shattered psyches." I'm not going to read this because I'm always like, I want to be surprised, totally surprised. So this looks really interesting to me, and I am excited for a quiet horror mystery. So that's for the Japanese crime fiction quest on Pagebound. Now, for August, I mentioned I'm going to do the announcement soon, but I have some books. Well, I already mentioned Ayana Gray's I, Medusa is a contender for August, and then I have another one here that's kind of what I intended it to be, contender for August and Big Book Summer, and that is another attempt at getting through Dune by Frank Herbert. I started this a couple years ago. I set it down because I wanted to watch the movies. Now I have, in addition to having this, I have the graphic novel. So I'm gonna try both and see if having the graphic novel helps a little bit. But yeah, I am interested in kind of trying to read this, the text and the graphic novel side by side. That might be interesting. I I just really, really feel like I need to read this. I really want to get this read this year. So please, any motivation you can send my way to get me like all the more hyped about this, I need every ounce of it. Continuing with like Big Book Summer. A couple of other books that I would like to read this summer for Big Book Summer are The Shell Seekers. It's right here on my shelf. And The Shell Seekers by Rosamunde Pilcher and The Nightingale by Kristin Hanna. So those are other big books that I would like to read. Then I'm going to go into Books and Bocadillos book club. So for the month of June, tentatively, but I kind of made it like a Big Book Summer book. I have this one, and I also have the audiobook to help me kind of get through it faster. The House of the Spirits, La Casa de los Espíritus by Isabel Allende. This is the classic that I am wanting to read for the Books and Bocadillos book list this year. I started reading The House of the Spirits years ago, and I set it down. In the beginning, there's a part in the beginning that was kind of difficult to read, and at the time I was feeling like it was not what I wanted to read, but I feel like maybe I'm in a different place. I'm a little bit older now. Maybe I can try it again. This might be a better time for this. So I am reading The House of the Spirits, and well, I'm going between the translations. I'm a translating nerd. I would like to become a translator. So I'm really curious to see this this translation, how like just compare some things about translation. And Spanish is kind of like the one that's easy, the language that I can translate fluently. So I'm just interested in looking at that. So these are big books. And so then I have from the book list, from the Books and Bocadillos book list for July for this month. I don't have my copy of it yet. I ordered it, but it's not here yet. It should be here this week. Is North Anger by Ray Terciero and Brie Indigo. This is a graphic novel, and it's a retelling of North Anger Abbey. And I selected this one for the month of July because of Jane Austen July. I had hoped that the group read was going to be North Anger Abbey, but it was Mansfield Park. It's okay. I will still read Mansfield Park, and I'm going to read North Anger. It's a graphic novel, and it's YA, and it's a queer retelling of North Anger Abbey. And then, last but not least, for the month of August on the Books and Bocadillos book list, I have If We Survive This by Raquel Marie, and this is a YA horror novel. So I selected this one in August because of August. So that is another August pick that I'm just kind of letting you know in advance that will be on my TBR for August. And If We Survive This is like alluding to a zombie apocalypse. So it's about surviving a zombie apocalypse, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. So I'm curious and excited to read this novel, this horror novel, YA horror. And so those are the books that I am excited to read, that I'm looking forward to reading in the next couple of months, this month and next month. And I guess I can update you on reading plans for September. In September, still have the books and bocadillos. I believe that's going to be a memoir right here, Ordinary Girls. And then Shorty September is something that I have to think about that I haven't yet thought about. So that might be something I will be working on next month in terms of waiting for the announcement to drop and figuring out my TBR for that. And then there's all these other stuff that I'm trying to join. Like I'm trying to do Rocket Summer and Summer of Steinbeck. I'm reading Travels with Charlie. I'm rereading Travels with Charlie. And I'm going to see if I can get to Cannery Row. But my big interest is to reread Travels with Charlie this year. So that is something that I'm going to try to accomplish very soon. So that's it. Those are the books that I am thinking about and really excited to get to in the span of weeks to months. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And if you're in the US, happy holiday weekend. Hasta la próxima.